Pregame.com.
Welcome back. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined by Stephen Nover. This is our weekly spot. We like to do it. It's called Rants of the Week. Stephen and I get to get off our chest what's bothering us, and usually it's a bad beat or stupid play or just an a-hole, and we're going to look for who our a-hole of the week is this week. What do you got on your chest?
I'm the unfortunate victim, as of many others, that had under 9 this past Monday night on the Tigers-Rangers total, where it was 3-3 through 9, 3-3 through 10, 3-3 through the top of the 11th, going into the bottom of the 11th, 3-3 under 9. Only one scenario could we lose on this.
You didn't handicap it that way? You didn't know they were going to load the bases? Give up a home run, walk-off home run?
This leads to my rant, Marco. Texas had runners on first and second, less than 2 out, and the batter hits a fly ball to the outfield, medium, not deep at all. A couple of the Tiger outfielders converge, signals are missed up. Bottom line is the ball falls in there. The runner at second, I believe it was Michael Young, should have been halfway on that, watching to see what develops. If he does that, he scores, and we don't have this Nelson Cruz first ever postseason walk-off grand slammer. But Young was not halfway. For some reason, he was like 2 steps away from the bag, the second base bag, thinking he was possibly going to tag up on that. No, you have no shot to tag up on that. You're not going to do that. You're halfway. Any intelligent base runner would have known that. He would have scored then if he would have done that once that ball fell through, but didn't happen. I have no bad feelings towards the Tiger pitcher who surrendered the grand slam. You have to do that with the bases loaded. You have to lay it in there with less than 2 out. And, Cruz did it. Hats off to him. It's just unfortunate that I happen to have 9. And I hate that when you handicap a game right and you lose.
Oh,
really hate that. All right. My other rant, this is a smaller rant. I'm a Brewer fan, Marco, you know that, going, my Wisconsin roots, being a native of Wisconsin. I have followed the Brewers since their inception. And can they get into the World Series? Can they win the World Series? I don't think so. They're too weak on the left side of the infield. Their starting pitching can't be trusted. They have those guys, Greinke, Markham, Gallardo. They have to prove that they're clutch. I've yet to see it. The Brewer, though, that I have the most, but I shouldn't just be totally negative. I love Prince Fielder. I love Ryan Braun. I like their catcher. I like Ricky Weeks. I like the back end of their bullpen with Rodriguez in the 8th and Axford in the 9th. The guy I have the most problem with is, in football, the most overrated all-star of all time was David Gerard, who made the Pro Bowl a couple years ago. That's because all the other quarterbacks were dropping out. In baseball, the equivalent of David Gerard in baseball, the most overrated guy ever to make the all-star team, Corey Hart, the Brewers right fielder. What has this guy ever done? He hits some home runs sometime. He's got a good arm. He's the most unclutch player, never does anything in the clutch. His home runs are empty, never makes a key defensive play. I hate Corey Hart. Those are my rants.
Wow, pretty strong. Since we're on the Brewers, I'll throw one. And this was going to be my a-hole of the week, but something else bugged me more yesterday whenever I read this. But the shout out to Zack Greinke. What are you doing? First of all, you're the guy that came over with the big contract. That was the pitcher we needed. Kansas City. He was in that small market, had no talent around him, and he was the pitcher there. He was supposed to come to Milwaukee and shore up that starting rotation, and he really didn't have a stellar year. I mean, let's face it. What's he doing, popping off, calling out Chris Carpenter after Chris Carpenter went on the road and battled Doc Holliday in a game 5 on the road and shut the Phillies down? One, give the man his props. And 2, why do you fire up the opposing team that you're going to face in the postseason and give them bulletin board material?
Because he's never been there. Because the Brewers, and Greinke in particular, has never been on the big stage in a high-pressure playoff series. You're right. He shouldn't have been opening his mouth. Well, why give them extra fuel?
Yeah, I'd love to watch him get torched in the playoffs. But my big rant of the week, this goes to the Boston Red Sox organization. We all know about the collapse of September with the Red Sox. You know, they got rid of the GM now. You know, he's moved on, Theo Epstein. They, you know, mutual parting of the ways with Terry Francona. Now this week, this story leaks out. And, you know, it's leaked out through the Boston management. You know, why they're rolling Terry Francona under the bus is a absolute classless move. You know, they let the story leak that he was having marital problems with his wife. He was living the last, you know, few months in a hotel room because him and his wife separated. He has a problem with prescription painkillers, and they let this story come out. Now, if this just didn't happen overnight, okay? If, you know, the problems that he was having with his wife didn't start overnight. You know, she didn't get mad because they were on a losing streak. I mean, this was brewing. The prescription drugs, obviously, he's addicted to painkillers. Terry Francona has bad knees, has had several knee surgeries, okay? It happened to Brett Favre before. It can happen. Why now? Why do you bring this up now? Because and put this as a focal point that, you know, make it like this is why, you know, he wasn't managing and this is why we did. Obviously, this stuff was happening in July and August.
When they were winning.
When they were winning. Yeah. You know, now all of a sudden, you know, that's the demise. Let's take some blame from top to bottom. The whole organization flopped. They choked. They played bad ball in September. Call it what it is. You know, the players got, you know, and you know what, and let's throw out to the Red Sox players too. Why don't you step up and say, you know what, you know, we didn't perform. No matter what decisions are made, whoever's put in a position to be on the field at the time, you're supposed to perform. They didn't perform. The pitchers sucked from Beckett to Lackey to Lester. You know, I mean, Beckett was the stud all the time. He sucked in his last few starts when they needed a win. One win. All they needed was one win, and they would have got into the playoffs. I just think it's a classless move. And, you know, I always, in that series of Boston and the Yankees, I always rooted for Boston because I like to root for the underdog. What they did here, I'll root for the Yankees right now until I change my mind. I didn't like it. What are your thoughts? Anything
I can't disagree with you. It's classless, and you know, it's Theo Epstein has moved on, and you know, we'll see what happens to the Red Sox.
Yeah. So if I have a bad week picking, am I going to say I was fighting with my wife and I was on prescription drugs?
I don't think you'd get a lot of sympathy for a bad week. You know,
all right, that's the Rants of the Week. We ask you to do it every week. Jump into the forums. We'll have this video posted in the forums. Tell us who your a-hole of the week is. Put it in there. Tell us why they got your goat this week, and we'll talk about it. Make it a little fun video, something to enjoy. He's Steven Nover. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We'll be back next week. We'll take a look at the NFL again with Steven, and we'll have our Rants of the Week.